people, it's me, Anja. My pronouns are she and her, and welcome back to my channel for a new video. So, if you didn't know, historical fiction is one of my favorite genres, and I've noticed lately that historical fiction is very white, since history is very much whitewashed. So I decided to make an entire video talking about my favorite historical fiction books that star people of color as the main characters. So, the first book on this list is called We Are Not Free. This book is a YA historical fiction following 14 Japanese-American second-generation people as their lives were massively changed by the mass incarceration camps of World War II in the United States. I hope that made sense. But anyway, this book is so good, and it was so well done. It was written by one of my favorite authors of all time, Traci Chee, so I already had very, very high expectations. But this book definitely lived up to those very high expectations. The story, the plot, the characters, the world building, the setting, everything about the story felt like it came from a very authentic and realistic place because it was so well developed. This book was one of my favorites of 2020 because I loved every single second of it, and it made me cry more than once, which goes to show how emotionally attached and emotionally invested I was in the entire thing. This book is incredible, and it deserves all the hype and so much more. So with that, I would highly, highly recommend it. The next book on this list is called Oathies Ghosts. This book is a middle-grade historical fiction following a young black girl in 1922 who can see ghosts and her new workplace is haunted. So that's fun. This book was so good and it was so well done. I really, really enjoyed every single second of it. First of all, the plot was so fast-paced and it was absolutely so thrilling and so engaging and exciting. The characters were so well developed and so distinct. The world building in the ghosts was so well incorporated. I typically don't love ghost stories because since I don't believe in ghosts, they don't really come to life for me, although they're dead, so obviously they don't come to life. But anyway, my point is, I typically don't read books with ghosts in them because they don't really make the story so much more exciting for me since I don't believe in them. But in this book, it really made the story so much more thrilling and so much more awesome, if that makes any sense. I don't know why specifically, but anyway, this book was so good and it was so well done and it was so wholesome and heartwarming, so it wasn't really necessarily scary for me. That's another thing. Since I don't believe in ghosts, ghosts don't scare me, so they don't necessarily thrill me most of the time. But anyway, the point is, this book was so good and I really, really enjoyed it, so with that, I would highly, highly recommend it. The next book on this list is called The Night Diary. This book is a middle-grade historical fiction following a young South Asian girl, and it's set in 1947 during India's partition, which was a time period that I knew nothing about prior to reading this story. So this book was so educational, so emotional, and absolutely so excellent. And with that, I would highly, highly recommend it. The characters were so well developed and so distinct. The main character was such a wonderful, lovely, driven main character that I was so emotionally attached to. I wanted to reach through the pages and give her a hug because she deserves the world, although she is the world. So anyway, this book was so amazing and it was so well done. The plot and the setting and the world building was so easy to visualize and it was so well researched. Did I mention how educational this story was because it was so well done? This author is literally so talented and I will gladly read more from them in the future because their writing is so good, because it was so lyrical and it was so beautiful, because everything about the story felt so authentic and so well done. So with that, I would highly, highly recommend it. The next book on this list is called Last Night at the Telegraph Club. This book is a YA historical fiction story following an Asian lesbian in 1954 where it's not exactly safe for two girls to fall in love, especially not during San Francisco's Red Scale. So, this book was so incredible and it's so well done. I think this book deserves all of its hype and so much more, and I'm so excited for the author's next book, which which I believe either comes out this year or next year. But anyway, this book was so good. The writing was so lyrical and it was absolutely so beautiful. The characters were so well developed and so distinct. The setting was so easy to visualize and I really enjoyed it. The sapphic romance was so cute and it was so angsty and it was so well developed and the plot was so engaging and it was absolutely so thrilling. This book is so amazing and it deserves all the hype and so much more because it was so emotional, educational, and absolutely so excellent. This book is so awesome. So anyway, like I mentioned, I would highly recommend it. The next book on this list is called Clues to the Universe. This book is a middle-grade historical fiction following a pair of unlikely friends as they navigate grief, bullying, and their own differences, and one of the main characters is Asian, and so is the author. This book was so good, and it was so well done. It's set in the 1980s, and the setting was so easy to visualize, and it really made the story come to life so much more. The plot was so engaging, and it was absolutely so thrilling and so intriguing. The characters were so well developed and so distinct. I loved them individually as well as their friendship together. This story is so cute and it's also so angsty as well that it really broke my heart in two. You know what I mean? And then pieced those pieces back together. I don't know if that makes any sense at all, but basically this story is so emotional and it's so excellent and it's absolutely so amazing. This book deserves all the hype and so much more because it's absolutely so good. I will gladly read more from the author in the future if she continues to write books because her writing was so good and absolutely so lyrical. So with that said, I would highly recommend this book. The last book on this list, and certainly not the least, is called Cuba in My Pocket. This book is a middle-grade historical fiction following a young boy who must immigrate from Cuba to the United States in 1961 after the failed Bay of Pigs invasion solidifies Castro's power. This book is so incredible, and it's so emotional, and it's so well done. It was absolutely so educational and so excellent, and I would highly recommend it. This book was one of my favorites of 2021 because I loved every single second of it. The characters were so well developed and so distinct. The plot was so engaging, so intriguing, and so thrilling. The setting was so easy to visualize, and I really enjoyed it. This story felt like it was very authentic and very real, so I could definitely tell that the author was drawing from her family's own history. You know what I mean? Like, this story was so awesome, and I really enjoyed it, and I would definitely highly recommend it because the story was so educational, so excellent, and absolutely so emotional. So with that, I would highly recommend it. So, in conclusion, I hope to continue reading more historical fiction stories starring people of color because I think it's so important, so necessary, and absolutely so timely to read history through a marginalized lens. So I hope this video helps diversify your bookshelf. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please don't hesitate to give it a big thumbs up. Comment down below the snowflake emoji if you made it all the way to the end of the video. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel if you're new, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!